How long could you stay hidden? Sometimes animals will go years, decades, or even centuries without being seen, and often scientists will conclude that those species have gone extinct, only for a new sighting to prove otherwise. In the most extreme example of this, a group of animals thought extinct since the time of the dinosaurs, over 65 million years ago, were rediscovered under stunning circumstances. But what are these mysterious creatures, and how did they stay undetected for so long? Let's find out. The animals we'll be talking about today have been known to science since the late 1830s, when the famous naturalist Louis Agassiz was working on a fossil found near Durham in northern England. The fossil was found in rocks from the Permian era, making it around 260 million years old, give or take. The fossil was a fish's tail, and was distinctive in that the spines supporting the tail appeared to be hollow. Because of this, Agassiz named the animal Coelacanthus and assigned it to an entirely new group which he called coelacanths, or hollow spines. Coelacanths are a group of marine fish living in the oceans of prehistoric Earth. They can reach very large sizes compared to both ancient and modern fish, with several species measuring in at several meters long. Some, like the giant Morsonia gigas, frequently measured over 5 meters in length. That's bigger than the average great white shark, and would place Morsonia among the largest bony fish to ever live. Besides their large size, coelacanths are also distinctive in their three-lobed tails, their thick, armor-like scales, a special hinge joint in their skull that allows them to open their mouths wider, and also the use of a flexible notochord to support their bodies, rather than a backbone. In the almost 200 years since the work of Agassiz, over 100 species of fossil coelacanth have been discovered, representing over 60 genera. Some of the oldest, like Miguashire and Diplocercides, are known from rocks from the early and middle part of the Devonian era, making them between around 380 and 410 million years old, give or take. The most recent, thought to be a relative of the giant Morsonia, was found in Morocco and is from the late Cretaceous era, around 66 million years ago. This implies a period of well over 300 million years, when coelacanths swam the world's oceans before seemingly going extinct. No other coelacanth fossils are known from after the late Cretaceous, and no living members of the group were known, and so scientists quite reasonably concluded that coelacanths must have gone extinct at around the same time as the dinosaurs. Just more losses among the roughly 75% of species that went extinct at that time. All this changed in 1938. A fishing trawler working in the Indian Ocean off the coast of South Africa, near the mouth of the river Chalumne, brought up something entirely unexpected in their nets, a large fish unlike anything they'd ever seen before. The mysterious creature was sent to East London Museum in South Africa, where museum curator Marjorie Courtney-Latimer and fossil fish expert J.L.B. Smith finally identified it as a coelacanth, proof of a living, breathing member of a group of animals thought extinct for over 66 million years. Smith called the animal Latimeria in honour of his colleague Courtney-Latimer, and Chalumne after the river that the animal was found near. But the story of rediscovery doesn't stop there. Decades later, in 1997, on the other side of the Indian Ocean, a coelacanth was found in a fish market in Indonesia. This proved to be yet another new species of coelacanth, one that seemed to have been known to local fishermen for quite some time. The discovery of not one, but two living species of coelacanth made significant impact in evolutionary biology. Before, many scientists had considered the coelacanths to be the closest relatives of the tetrapods, the first animals to walk on land, earning them a status as a so-called missing link in the evolution between sea and land. New studies, with the more complete knowledge gained from the living modern coelacanths, proved this to not be true, shifting our understanding of one of the most important events in the evolutionary history of animals. But interest in coelacanths had exploded beyond just the scientific community during this time, with high demand for specimens and live individuals to go to museums, zoos, and aquariums. Labels like missing link and living fossil often catch public attention, and coelacanths have even entered modern pop culture, like with the Pokemon Relicanth. But as more and more coelacanths were taken from the ocean to fuel this interest, concern for their conservation began to grow. Both living species, the Sulawesi and West Indian coelacanth, are considered under threat of extinction by the IUCN. Thankfully, now both species are protected under the CITES framework, which controls the illegal trade in animals and specimens. The discovery of living coelacanths has taught us lots of things about how these creatures live their lives. One of the most interesting is that coelacanths seem to give birth to live young, which is bizarre among fish, which usually lay eggs. What actually seems to happen is that the eggs hatch while they are still inside the mother, where they grow for some time and then are born. This is sometimes called viviparity in animals. They also exhibit a strange behaviour of performing headstands on the seafloor. Scientists theorize this may be a way for them to detect the movement of prey using a special sensory organ inside their head. This would have been completely impossible to work out from studying fossils alone, and is only one of the ways that the discovery of living coelacanths has changed our understanding of the natural world. It's tempting to believe in some dramatic story of coelacanths hiding beneath the waves or disappearing somewhere before dramatically returning like Optimus Prime at the end of every Transformers movie. But the truth is, they've always been right there, doing their thing like they have done for hundreds of millions of years. The living coelacanths likely went undiscovered for so long purely by virtue of their habitat. We now know from their rediscovery that they hunt in relatively deep waters, usually between about 100 and 400 meters deep, and also that they spend a lot of time sheltering in underwater caves. Both deep-sea exploration and deep net trawling are relatively recent developments for humanity, so really it's not that much of a surprise that they managed to go undiscovered for so long, especially given how rare the living species seem to be. As for the lack of fossil coelacanths after the end of the Cretaceous period, that again is likely due to their habitat. The fossils we do know about were formed at the bottom of prehistoric seas that are now exposed on land as the continents and tectonic plates shifted underneath them. But most of the modern oceans, or at least bodies of deep water that we would recognize as them, were already formed by the end of the Cretaceous, around about when we stopped finding fossil coelacanths. This would mean that any that have died and been fossilized since then are likely to be at the bottom of the sea, where we simply can't get to them to discover them. While this explanation is admittedly a bit speculative on my part, and new fossils could be found at any time that prove me wrong, I think this would go some way to explaining why coelacanths go missing from the fossil record for so long. I think this is one of the most interesting stories of happenstance discovery in modern evolutionary biology. That the ideas and the knowledge that had persisted for a century between the work of Agassiz and the discovery of Latimeria in South Africa could be overturned in essentially an instant by something as seemingly random as a fishing net catch is truly quite humbling. It shows us clearly just how much we don't know about our planet and the other living things that we share it with, and shows us that at any time a new discovery could come along that fundamentally changes our understanding of the history of life on Earth. One last thing before we go, I should probably introduce myself. I have a PhD in evolutionary biology and spent 10 years at university studying biodiversity and evolution and the history of life on Earth. At the time this video goes live, my channel is brand new and has literally 0 subscribers. So if you like what you've seen here today and want to see more, please keep an eye out for new videos. I'm hoping that the production quality will keep getting better as I keep doing this, and I hope that you'll stick around to see more and we can learn more together about evolution and biology and the general history of life on Earth. Thank you for your time.